Welcome back to the North American LCS. The teams are readying up on stage for round 2 between Cloud9 and Phoenix1. And you see the man on your screen subbing in, preparing himself, his runes, his masteries to head on to the Rift.
Yeah, Meteos back in once again. I mean, they had pretty questionable game one, obviously.
Yeah.
Perfect gaming aside from the Rift Herald C9 onto Phoenix1. So you want to be able to make change, but at the same time, Phoenix1 has done this before, right? They don't necessarily think they have the ceiling they want with Meteos because he's been very clear about saying that he's just kind of here for mostly the fun of it, right? He has a lot of competitive experience, doesn't live with the team, doesn't necessarily scrim or review with the team, but is just there to play. And it has worked for them in the past. I mean, they even beat C9 with him last split, but clearly a little bit of desperation after such a poor showing in game one to pull Meteos in here for game two.
Well, really a poor showing to start off their summer split here. And what really Meteos as well, like you said, fun, brought back into this is kind of that jovial experience to the game where you can kind of relax the nerves of the team. They enjoy playing with him. He has a very vocal voice, or he is very vocal, I should say, during the games. And that may relieve a bit of pressure on the guys.
Yeah, and I mean, he's still really good. That's the other thing.
You can say that.
Elise and Zach have been his two main champions even last year, and Olaf. And interestingly enough, all of those champions are still in meta. So unless he gets heavily targeted in the ban phase here by C9, he should be on a comfortable pick he can perform on. And then you'd hope that it kind of allows the rest of the team to do stuff. I mean, Arrow, the MVP of last split, got destroyed in the bottom lane. You look at the damage at the end of the game, he was still up there comparable to pretty much anyone else in the game, nearly out-damaging Jensen, but had no impact, died a bunch early game, lost his turret first because they didn't have river control, they didn't have vision control, and he needs help, honestly, as well as just being able to make smart decisions with Elite.
And that almost needs to come from the other lanes as well. Zig on a few of the teleports that he had pressure that could have been used in that bot lane to gain control were fizzled out. Then again in the mid lane, which actually cost them a few in mid. So maybe the communication now changing it up a little bit pressure if Meteos does decide to go to the lanes or track, I should say, contracts in a different style.
Yeah, exactly. And Phoenix1 also has very high expectations coming into this split. I mean, the top 3 teams from North America from last split go to Rift Rivals, which is going to be a high visibility tournament for Phoenix1 who's trying to establish a strong brand in the North American LCS. And also the top 3 teams go to Worlds. I mean, if they finish third 2 splits in a row, the way things fall, it nearly guarantees their way in, or at least puts them in a very strong position in the regional qualifier. And that's what Phoenix1 wants. So you can see they're already trying to iterate. It's so easy to overreact after 1 week or 2 weeks, and we've kind of seen that when we look at Team Liquid subbing out Golden Glue after one game, or here we go, third match already, Meteos subbing in, but Phoenix1 just want to find that thing that works, and C9 is a very difficult opponent to do that against, and we're going to see if they can do it here.
Especially when they are flexing so much on you in champion select, and you're trying to get a little bit of comfort plus your own flex. We see some of the members of P1 lean back in their chairs. They're relaxed. They're ready to come into this game. C9 looking for a repeat of game 1 here. 1-0, Cloud9 versus Phoenix1. We are into picks and bans number 2.
Yeah, we can see Shen and Galio, 2 of the premier top lane tanks, taken away right off the bat. Once again, Cannon and Fiora have been very banned champions, and we're seeing Ray now for the 3rd match and 7th game in a row for Cloud9, so still yet to see impact in the summer split.
Is out. Expect that to be a Zach. And what do you ban? Did they actually ban the Caitlyn? Did they ban something so it can't be first pick by P1? After a necessary pick from Cloud9. We'll see here. 7 seconds left. Cloud9 having fun. It is going to be the Caitlyn.
Yeah, just trying to make it so Arrow can't dominate the lane 2-3. You see a lot of Caitlyn plus range support lanes being able to just absorb jungle ganks early on in the game. And Ryu didn't win against Jensen. Zig didn't necessarily win against Ray. C9 making sure that they can keep Arrow at bay, or at least exert dominance over him like they did in that first game.
Feeling good taking Elise away. Something we said, or Mark was saying on the desk, that could be big throughout this game now that
Zach is unbanned. So this is something that Phoenix1 wanted to kind of leave up. Hope contracts wouldn't play it because Meteos would have loved to play the new Zach, but denied pretty logically by C9. So you can see Coach Fly took a shot, missed.
Just be interesting. We have not gotten too much Zach play, if any, that I've seen.
Yeah, I think he got picked one time last week in the North American LCS. Lyra played it, I believe, and came up short. That is correct. He played it against Phoenix1, interestingly enough.
So they're ready.
Undefeated against Zach.
There you go. Looking up.
That's why they let us through.
The Thresh goes to Shady this time. This is still obviously the supportive utility shield you can give somebody, but definitely a different play than the Karma Lulu. So we'll see if he can now put the plays into action as well as save his AD carry.
Yeah, big moment here for Shady on a playmaking support. He's pretty much exclusively been playing the Lulu Karma meta since that is pretty much when he made his debut on Phoenix1.
Trade of Zaya, Rakan banned in that first game by Phoenix1 as they took the Zaya. It looks like Cloud9 may get the Taster's Choice and best of both. There it is. Combination is locked in.
Exactly. They tried this combination a little bit last week. They also got styled on by Stixxay and Aframu's combo of it earlier. But, I mean, just the combo here for C9 is already
that's what I was looking at.
Insane. I mean,
wow.
If you can get Rakan's 2,000 range initiation basically to lock them up for long enough for Zach to jump in and then land the ultimate and pull people back, it's actually kind of insane what C9 could pull off. But you can see Phoenix1 at that Kalista lock and trying to make sure they get as much mobility as possible.
Going back to the Kalista for Arrow here. See, I don't mind throwing in the Thresh. Puts him in a good spot. A little different for box usage since the person you throw from Fate's Call is going to be at their auto attack range, and Thresh is a little bit longer, so he can't instantly box.
Yeah, I mean, Kalista Thresh was an insane combo when both of these champions were in meta.
So good.
In a sense, the skills are named differently, but they can kind of lantern each other. So as long as they stay far apart, it's nearly impossible to collapse on them in lane.
What else can they put into this composition for Cloud9? So there's the Orianna ban, a must-have at this point, so you can't get the ball entry in. Olaf gets taken away from Meteos as they start to pinch the jungle, feeling like they will pressure him. And interestingly enough, Meteos coming in saying, take your picks, we'll get the jungle later.
Yeah, and I'd actually be super curious whether or not that was Fly or Meteos' call here, because we've basically only seen Meteos find a lot of success on the three champions that are already off the board right now, Elise, Olaf, and Zach.
Right.
So they had a chance, obviously, to lock something in earlier, but did not. Now they're most likely going to have to pick something here. There are a lot more junglers that could be considered in meta, but who knows what he's going to pick. I mean, aside from that, he's only played Rengar and Kha'Zix for Phoenix1.
Damage top, and what will Jensen take mid? They have the Ahri and Echo would be pretty interesting here if you have everybody flying around and jumping back and forth.
Yeah, wouldn't be too surprised to see him play Cassiopeia.
Ooh.
Just for that reliable teamfight damage.
That's
they already
true.
have a lot of utility, but got a lot of options. That would be spicy.
In a bit.
Do it.
They have so much knockup. So much knockup.
Jensen, you troll. I would have loved to see you with those picks.
I think everybody would. So the Cassio does get locked in. A nice choice, especially with Fate's Call. People diving in. They have engaged, and now they have a bit of counter. But like you said, that for sure damage in the team fight that can be locked down with Twin Fang.
Yeah. And they don't have that much reliable damage from the rest of their team comps, so it's a pretty strong pick. Currently, as Gragas would be the main initiator one. Oh, really?
New Rek'Sai?
Definitely not. He's going Jungle Gragas.
Zig taking the Jace to the top side. Jungle Thresh. No, I'm just kidding. Jungle support is switching it up. We have a Meteos, Gragas, and a Shady Thresh this time. Thresh, like you said, Shady going to put himself on that playmaking support, but the bot lane also looking to make more plays in those picks by themselves.
Yeah, and if we had problems mixing up players in the last game, watching a Cloud9 Zach against Meteos is just going to feel wrong in so many ways because
Meteos, I mean, contract.
Yeah, for the classic LCS watchers, I mean, Meteos was the MVP of the 2013 summer split in large part because he was so good on Zach. And then even coming in last split, he was the only person to play the champion. So really, it's his iconic pick, and now it's picked against him as he subs in for Phoenix1. So really interested to see how this one plays out. I mean, it's a new Zach, it's a new season, so much has changed, but it's still going to be cool to see.
It's interesting. It's like when you see that one friend that's always driven a certain car for the rest of your life. You always think of your friend when you see that car.
Yeah.
That's Zach from Medios. He's always driven that champion. No, we're getting into game. Hashtag C9 win. Hashtag P1 win. And we will see if Cloud9 can repeat, rinse and repeat the success of game 1, or if Phoenix1 can come through, find the momentum they need. They have put in Medios now. That does say Inori, but Medios is going to be in for him coming into this game. Zig coming into the day saying a lot of the top teams haven't been able to adjust. They're kind of set in their own ways here, and they're being caught off guard at the start of the split. It seems like Cloud9 has been able to fix a bit of that. We'll see if P1 has found it here in between games.
Yeah, exactly. Resetting a little bit. Neither of these teams found success in week 1. Phoenix1 lost both of their series 1-2. C9 lost both of their series, being swept by TSM and going 1-2 against COG. So very difficult competition for C9, and it doesn't necessarily get easier with Phoenix1, who is the 3rd place team from last split. So very important for both of these teams to come out and have a strong showing, starting 0-3, as both of these teams are going to Rift Rivals and also trying to move towards being that World's Caliber team.
Yes.
Really want to get off on the right foot.
Definitely have to think about Rift Rivals a little bit, how they're going to feel going into it. Still want a good score there. Games are still going to be any given day, but it always helps to have that momentum going in and confidence behind the team. Here, confidence for C9 in game 2 as we get a little bit of back and forth. P1 not afraid to start things off with a few love taps. Deep wards as we expect them, and wraiths for the start.
Yeah, and you really wonder how greedy Ryu would get. It's really difficult actually to start Raptors against Talia, because I'd say she has probably the best Raptor stealing ability, just being able to pull up the work ground, send that Q over and over again. It's also great for pulling for Medios if he times his barrel properly. He's going to have one back up for the spawn of this. But not ideal for the start there. A little bit of rest right there for Medios. It's a 10-second cooldown on barrel roll. I mean, he wasted about 3 seconds by casting it early. Come on, Medios.
So we will see that W synergy with a bit of attack speed here for Sneaky and Smoothie as they activate it. An interesting lane. We saw the CLG combo of this the other week. Played very heavily for Engage, and that's what C9's trying to do here with the composition as well. Shady and Arrow happy to let this push back just a little bit. Let it reset.
Yeah, see if Smoothie goes aggressive here. Most cons make this play with W first.
Not even waiting for the level 2. The minions weren't even ready, so they weren't going to even flick it in there. Smoothie heads out so they can't get the rend on minions and himself. They keep it safe. I like the aggression already. Junglers are going to be on opposite sides of the map, and they have that ward on contracts once he gets to his blue.
Yeah, got some good scouting in level 1. We'll see if Medios makes use of that. I mean, Smoothie and Sneaky playing fairly aggressive, and we got a lot of playmaking on both sides of this bottom lane, so it could very much be the main battlefield of the early game, much like it was in game 1. It's just the question is, Phoenix1 going to bring their jungler too? Because in game 1 it was pretty much just C9 bringing the troops down bot.
Any pressure. You already see the hover from Ryu. Zach is top. He'll play that bottom side of mid. You see a lot of Tilias just kind of take over one side once they start to work too much ground. But he'll always be towards Medios, making sure he's safe. Medios has Wolves, and then we'll see what his options are as Arrow and Shady start to push back just a little bit. Shady, I was going to say,
it's a good hook.
Could have a game where his hooks mean a lot. He's going to have a dashing Smoothie, a jumping Sneaky, and almost get the kills off this first hook. Sneaky's got to back off. Good focus on P1 to make sure they push out both members.
Yeah, I talk about level 2 power spikes, but level 3 power spikes exist too. There's still a lot of stats and an extra skill point to come through that early into the game.
Yep.
So P1 smart to deny that minion wave, but
oh, ghosted. Yeah, just for safety.
Zach really potent now with that rework. If he lands the first Q of Stretching Strike on you, it's a bunch of just kill pressure right off the bat that would allow Jensen to throw Miasma down, block the flash. So Ryu popping Ghost that early, pretty important. Shady roam. Woo.
Shady roam. And arrow as well to get some deep wards in. Ryu's going to take that shield to not go back in the fight, even though Jensen's low on mana. They both are.
Yeah, that roam, about as ineffective as they get. They missed both their skill shots. They threw the seismic shove and the death sentence in the same spot. So the one juke for Jensen was all he needed. One of the best skill shot jukers I feel like we have in the NALCS. Was very aggressive right afterwards as well.
They know he's in there too. They have a big wave down bot that's going to be crashing into Arrow. Arrow has to either stay for this or they can figure out where these guys are. Meteor, Shady, and Ryu there. Ryu's out of mana. He's going to start backing. It doesn't look like they can still follow in. Pings go down on the bot lane. They know Shady's been gone, so the mismatch in lane has been able to add a little bit of pressure here for Sneaky.
That was actually really interesting. I mean, the sidestep on the hook was nice by Contracts, but once Meteos gets that body slam over the wall and you burn the flash from Contracts, knowing you have the numbers advantage, if you flash in there as Shady, he was in range to flash Flay, and knowing Contracts had his flash down, you probably get the kill there. But they were probably afraid of Jensen's lane priority from doing anything and just not wanting to overcommit. But that very well could have been first blood for Pete.
It does take extra. His passive is going to make you stay longer. A little close from the mid lane will come in.
The bot lane could potentially roam up. There's a lot of unknowns.
Assessing that risk that it may take too long with low damage early game. Quick sight taken out there as Arrow made a roam up. Did place a ward. That's been cleared as well as his ghost. And Smoothie's able to leave Sneaky here. Should get back down as this is P1's piled up wave. Should be an easy clear here for Sneaky. 53 to 37 in that mid lane though. Just the quick pressure from Contracts coming in, a few bounces. The ghost being down has slowed down Ryu's ability to get to those minions. Being pushed off by Jensen.
Jensen stronger. The laning phase now it becomes all about the shove for Talia and trying to get roams off, but that requires a little bit of deep vision, which they're starting to get. I mean, Shady's roams, he hasn't gotten kills, but he has been providing some vision with it.
They are consistent. Each game Shady has, not at the same time, but always gone out of lane, making sure they're trying to get something out of it. Cloud9's doing a great job at knowing when those roams are coming now, seeing Shady do it just about every game. Stave those off. Like we said, the last one Shady did actually came up big for Cloud9, so they stop those for now. They're going to start warding up their own jungle, things they can protect. Let's see if they can catch Cloud9 off guard here. Haven't looked too much in top lane. 10 CS lead here for Zig onto Ray. We've seen Zig have a bit of a trouble on his Kled lately. Wasn't able to really pull the game out on the Gragas previously, but Jay's definitely more in his wheelhouse. It seems like he's comfortable in the lane with some wards.
Yeah, Zig has had good performances on most of the carry top laners Phoenix1 has put him on. Jace is a really interesting one. Always in North America. I mean, he's still banned a lot, but we rarely see him have a large influence on the game. He should be winning, I feel like, a lot of lanes, and potentially this lane over Renekton as well, assuming he can keep good vision control, just because Jace does so much damage. Instead of just getting access to double the amount of skills as everyone else early on in the game. And to mention the early vamp scepter to keep him sustained up.
Feels good when he can just heal and lane off a few auto attacks. If he can then create a lot of fog of war for himself, start getting a lot of tag damage, if he will, getting those blast cues on the back line. He may be able to really push Ray out of lane. Contracts, bot side of the jungle. His top actually has quite a few camps, so he may not stay down here too long. Quick transfer over to blue for Ryu here, who's didn't have too bad of a game on Ahri last time. Just really was not able to get going. Cloud9 leaps and bounds ahead last game. Just wasn't able to chance for P1 to come back. They're keeping it way more even this time, but that doesn't mean a quick fight can change that. Real quick.
And so much more roaming from the Phoenix1 bot lane this game. They were pretty much full-time against their turret last game. And it does feel like they can get the 2v2 advantage with the Thresh Callista as they did in level 3, and they've been trying to roam to get advantages off that. They haven't really gotten advantages off of that, quite honestly, but they are getting vision control and keeping the window open for some playmaking.
Got those level 6s waiting on Shady. He is 5 still. deep from Contracts as he goes.
Oh, he can pull him back.
Shot. Looks like he will yank him right back. That's going to be the Ruthless Predator. Abducts him towards the top side. Zig's going to go down after feeling so comfortable in his pressure. And the pink ward, C9 still able to get first blood on him.
One of the reasons right there why Zach is so banned, because his ganking is even more insane than it used to be. Yes, there was a change in this patch that makes the shadow appear sooner when he's coming in, so you can actually see Zig is able to run away when he comes in, but he did not flash the Q. So stretching strike connects, he gets slammed up against the minion. That allows the rest of C9 to chain it. Contracts pulls him back with the ultimate, and it becomes a pretty easy kill for C9 as well as burning the flash.
Terrifying. Crowd controlled until he could not move. And that puts you on the fountain. At least it's the quickest back in the game, right? You got to buy something. It's somewhat of a plus side.
Fastest access to shop.
So about 1,000 gold lead after that, and he does come back with his cutlass. He'll be able to do a bit more damage, but interesting to start off. Looks like he's going for full damage versus Ray.
Looks like he's going for Blade of the Rune King. I was expecting the Vamp Scepter to turn into a Death Dance later on in the build. A little strange, honestly, from Jace. A lot of people go Black Cleaver early on in the game, Zig.
Yeah.
I guess going for a little bit more lane dominance. And they should actually be able to get this Rift Herald pretty easily.
No pressure from Zach. Contracts his bot. I think he actually showed just on that ward to try to tri-brush. So for 2 games, P1 on that Rift Herald. We'll see if this one can be put down in an advantageous position so they can get it to really open up the game for themselves this time. They're not dealing with a turret down already. They can be the first ones.
Yeah, in an even game like this, almost worst case scenario, the Rift Herald gets a charge on a turret, which puts you in position to take it.
For sure.
Zig should be shoving in Ray often, so would not be surprised to see them use that almost immediately in the top lane if they so choose. There it goes. It's going to be difficult for Ray to stop. He may actually pop his ultimate to try and defend this right off the bat.
Bot lane got double ping. Contracts is going to go down with the team. They want this. If Ray is going to get this much pressure on the top side, Meteos is low, waiting for the body slam to go back in. He could be the first to tank the turret, so Zig can get himself out. And it's going to be Zig taking the first few shots. Ray's still alive. The body slam now comes in. They both get away with 500 health combined, and the bot lane gank never happens as P1 backs off.
Yeah, P1, when that dive happens top lane, they know their bot lane has got to go away.
Oh, Zig.
Took a lot of minion damage. But Rift Herald pushed successful. The net gold, since they did have to trade turrets since Contracts went straight bot lane, is just the first turret bonus. But still a small win nonetheless.
C9 still with first blood gold lead. First turret helps pick up P1 just a little bit. Is an uncontested mountain break. Now going to go over to Cloud9. Having that bottom side of the map is what they pay. I should say what P1 pays for having the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they get this mountain so easily, I feel like pushes it back in the favor of C9. Trading turrets and then giving up the mountain drake, probably not worth. We're going to watch this dive one more time. Ray actually played this after getting chunked out early quite well. Meteos very smart to knock him back away from the turret. They bop him around, and then it's a waiting game. You can see his fury is full, so no one wants to go in before they get their cooldowns back. That's what Meteos does, gets his cooldown back. They swap aggro back and forth with Zig. Meteos kind of unnecessarily flashed. The turret wasn't on him, but thought it would be and didn't want to take a hit.
Contracts being full of himself as he picks himself back up to heal. Wow, a lot of pings going down on the side of P1's blue side. They want to try to route Arrow as he comes back. They're not even going to let him get out of lane here. Cloud9 starting to really put a stranglehold on P1, getting inside their own jungle. Once this happened last game, they were able to take down P1 in so many multiple skirmishes around the map. Mid pressure still there. Meteos and Ryu trying to set up somewhat of the same thing, but in a much dangerous spot. And uncontested here. Jensen starts to pull in.
Yeah, Meteos has no flash, but they do have a lot of people here. Still playing it safe.
No. Looks like it could have been a lot. Fizzles out. Top lane respect coming in from Sneaky and Smoothie. Bot lane pushing out nicely. Ray down there for quite some time. Rooted onto Zig immediately. Was not expecting the initiation from Smoothie. And that's what you have to be careful of, that Rakan and Xayah combination. Looks like they're just going to deliver more damage to make sure P1 doesn't stay too long.
I mean, yeah, that was essentially a 2v3 by C9. It was just Sneaky and Smoothie. Meteos was close by, but not really there. Here comes play from P1.
Oh, on to Jensen. Contracts is there, but he is not going to be able to save his mid laner. Smoothie just on the edge can get the shield over. It's going to be in time. The second one is what saves Contracts as the Ignite burns down from Shady. He's going to go ahead and heal himself up, but a quick hit in the first one onto Jensen.
Yeah, you can kind of see both the duo lanes showing their playmaking potential. One team after another. The bigger win right here, though, for P1 is the fact that they can immediately pressure this turret, whereas C9 has had to slowly walk the wave up. There it is.
Solo gold over to Meteos, actually, as Ryu already had top lane in mind.
Yeah, either the blue buff or top lane in mind. They were hoping to close in on C9 as they kept pushing, but I'll take the blue instead.
Pushing those advantages. Do not blame P1. Cloud9 can bite back quick, and this is the thing you look for, is a lot of people always look for that big Rakan initiation. It's really super effective if you can pin one person out of the fight.
Yeah, I got a feel for Zig right there. Meteos was there probably saying like, yo, bait it, bait it. And he just whiffs his body slam and takes the lantern out while Zig dies.
My bad.
Just full-on traitor right there onto Zig, but Meteos maintaining his KDA. Didn't play that the best. Can't fully blame him for running away after missing the body slam.
He was KDA King, right?
Yes, he was.
King of the jungle, KDA King. There are a few things in that line of accolades for him in the beginning of his career. Keeps it up now. Everlasting. 2-2. His goals is basically even. A much different game. So we didn't get the swap in aggression that sometimes happens in games where P1 kind of just did an all-out war against C9. See if P1 can start to get a lead, though. Towards the top side, they have been able to dictate a little bit more of the turret game this time.
Yeah, and thinking about the rest of the game as well, one thing that doesn't bode well for P1 is how far behind the curve Arrow tends to be. Nothing to slam Rio into with that stretching strike, but they're going for a kill. Woo.
That was an awesome combination of skills. Both teams played that perfectly. Meteos, short jump by Contract, slams him into the wall. Can he make it over? The blast cone's already gone, and he can't really get anything to help the team out. Goes down valiantly, saves the flash, says leave me be. And even Ryu's gonna head back towards mid and try to create pressure there. Zig and Ray looking to fight each other in the bot lane. Teleport's going to be up soon for a possible another play.
Yeah, Jensen threw down a great miasma right there, which prevented Meteos from body slamming or flashing towards the lantern. Really allowed C9 to put down a lot of extra damage. Here comes Dalia, though.
Surfing her way down. Ray puts a stun on what he thinks will be the most damage. Another shot on his Zig. Almost gets the kill as Ryu takes the next heated turret shot. They're going to be able to grab that bot. Jensen still has top to himself, and mid's being pushed by 3 members of C9.
Trying to make a play on a Smoothie, just can't do that.
Dives right out as Rakan. They get themselves the safety. 1 turret, 2 turrets, and they don't end up grabbing the bot. The roam from Ryu is already there. They want the full fight to grab more in the long haul. Contract bounces away, but he doesn't have anybody to take with him. They throw Sneaky right into Ryu, and they may be able to capitalize on the kill. And they do, but are the waves in position for this to work? P1 just lost 2 turrets across the map.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how both teams brought so much playmaking to this game. It can be initiation after initiation if you step a little bit out of bounds. And the Jace teleport doesn't actually seem that threatening when he randomly teleported into the river, but Phoenix1 was so capable of keeping C9 there for the Jace to arrive in. And Infernal Drake's got really good timing.
Infernal Drake and the bot turret as Ryu heads back for that. So very quick action in consideration of what they can get done before the next thing happens. That's going to be, yes, being able to fight mid, Dragon, and the turret. Coming up on 19 minutes. Gold still very even, and we'll see this engage again that got C9 in trouble.
Yeah, you can see Smoothie already using his escape tool right there, and Callista Thresh chased very, very well. Flash play, throws a lantern, doesn't need it. Arrow's already right there, but he takes the shield.
Zig with the roam.
Yeah, not the cleanest plays right there as the hop over the wall fails by Contracts as well. But Sneaky being down summoner spells is easy pickings for the rest of P1.
Shady getting that flash play in. We wondered if the playmaking could also come in with being the one keeping an eye on Arrow just for shields. And the flash play is there. Confident to keep the plays coming. We could expect more from him, but this is where P1 got into trouble last time. They want the basic vision. This time, they have just enough of it to see that C9 was setting up the bushwhack. They stay alive here. That cost them so much last game. They lost Arrow twice to kind of try and get just basic wards down. Now they're moving power and numbers with a bit more synergy.
Yeah, and they have a Mountain Drake and a Cassiopeia, which means they can take Baron very quickly. And that push is fun.
I say that, and then he walks into the brush knowing the entire team is there. There it is. Fate's call is out. They're going to throw him over to the right. This is now going to leave Arrow by himself. They throw a ward on the Lantern. You can't click it if you do that.
Oh, my goodness. And again, you thought maybe they could escape.
Oh, no.
Jensen been on point with the miasmas as well.
I love that two of them did it. That's so troll.
Yeah, you can't actually ward exactly on top of Lantern, but you can kind of block the pathing the wards with wards and make it much more difficult to click.
Woo. It is a troll. Thank you for explaining.
You used to be able to.
Right, yeah, you used to be able to just completely deny it. We'll see again here, this initiation. And Shady, after being so careful, yeah, they have Meteos again. Maybe Meteos said, I got you, go ahead.
Yeah. No, the barrel is not a person. It does not mean you have a friend in the brush. But Arrow throws him over the wall. Lantern goes down. I need to double check on the miasma interaction, whether or not that precludes you from being able to click the Lantern, because Jensen has been throwing miasma down right on top of it. It does block kind of all dashing abilities.
Very good point as well.
It's probably preventing these guys from clicking on the Lantern. We'll get confirmation on that in a bit. Can't hop in a practice tool right this moment.
Well, you could.
I can't have two champions in it, so it would be useless.
Ill-advised.
You have to do a custom game with 3 people. So hard to test.
Sneaky mid. He doesn't have too much cover on his right side. It looks like Contracts is actually going to be just on his coattails. Arrow a little bit safer in that sense, being alone. And they're 157 to 204 in CS. So Sneaky farming quite hard. That is kind of taken back by Ziggs. 205 to 184. Is Sneaky now being found out? Like we said, he's going to need that help from Contracts just behind him. Contracts doesn't want to be too close either. As Zig able to work a shock blast over the wall here. Smoothie's just on the left with Jensen looking for the engage. Yeah,
and Ray's trying to pull this split push game off. One thing that's interesting about this game is Jensen hasn't really been there for any type of team fight shenanigans, and Ryu has been pulling him kind of over to the side lanes more often than not. And I think that is working in P1's favor because they have playmaking in so many different roles, and they're seemingly taking more shots than C9 are to kind of make these plays happen.
Assist ping. We either just want vision, like one more. Like, we just want one more. We can get it in. Push back on Arrow. You can see how much kind of leniency they have with that Zac initiation too. With the bit of vision they have, he says, yeah, I can throw myself right in front of Arrow, figure out where more of the members are, and they kind of did. Just pull out Thresh there, figured out where Shady was. Oh, Smoothie! A little too close for comfort for himself. Goes down to about 30% HP.
Yeah, confirm the miasma does stop you from clicking on the Lantern, so Jensen been completely on point with that. Wards help out just for style points as well, just to add confusion to the mix.
Big counter there. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually pretty huge.
Very
I found the miasma actually counters way more things than you'd want it to.
What are you saying, Jack?
I was playing a Moon the other day, and if you throw miasma down on the Moon, I don't think it can Q you either. Because if it hit, it would count as a move block. Some ridiculous things that spell does.
Make the sad mummy more sad. Not the airborne they wanted onto Jensen. Contract's able to get on. Whoa, he slams them together. Meteos and Shady bopping heads as Contracts tries to get himself out. Jensen in no man's land. Can he get the blast zone? The last arrow over the wall, dips down, takes him out, and that's going to be Jensen down. We'll see who else hits this one. Meteos still very low. As the ground was worked, Ryu able to get a few more kills. They do finally get Contracts after he goes passive mode, and P1 getting an advantage here, 24 minutes in.
They might turn right to Baron, and the way these fights are playing out, being so spread out, is so much better for P1 than it is for C9. C9 have all these AoE abilities, like the Zac ultimate, but you saw it completely whiffed right there. The Callista and Thresh kind of toss each other around and spread out the fight, and it's an easy Baron for them after that teamfight win.
So definitely a change in momentum here for P1 as they come in. The lanes did a lot better. We'll see this fight one more time.
And Meteo's kind of leading the way. Jensen not really able to get that involved in this fight. Contracts just takes a bunch of damage before he gets there, and Zig with the flank around the side, as you said, puts him into no man's land. Contracts with a re-engage over the top when they really had no damage in position to assist. Poorly played fight by C9, and you're seeing here just the Callista, Jace, Thresh, like skirmishing power really paying off for P1.
That collapse just coming. Jensen's like, I'll ward over here. Oh man, we're in a fight. That's how you find yourself in that situation. Initiation all the way on to Zig. Look how many screens away. They're trying to get the one-offs now. That would have been very big. That's a flash onto Jace. So when he goes hammer for him, he is stuck into the fight. Ultimate's not really being cared if they're used here. You see a few going back and forth. Sneaky had to use his as well, just recently.
And you can see Ray with such an aggressive Renekton build as well, Blade of the Rune King, Black Cleaver, not having any type of split push pressure really up against Zig. So when they enter team fights, he's not really giving him a frontline advantage that you would expect when you're up against a Jace team. That's why a lot of times a Jace falls off as the other team stacks armor and Jace kind of stops doing damage in the late game, but that's not happening here.
He's matching.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got the same items.
They have exactly the same items, aside from a longsword and a Dorn's Blade being different in Dorn Shield. So we'll see if P1 can pressure the turrets here with the Baron buff, or if Contrast can get a really good initiation with Zac. Opportunity.
This is what P1 did not do last game, is do this with power and numbers. Now see, the initiation is nothing from Contracts. They're able to get out, but this is how C9 was able to get their lead previously. Those would be a kill on Arrow, then a kill on Shady, then Zig might have teleported in if they were almost winning the fight, and a kill on them. But much more coordination, and the disengage is also there when it needs to be. Leading P1 now, a top lane push from Jace, and they have control over the short part of the jungle.
Yeah, and just one of the same difference Meteos makes when he comes into the game as well. They sub out a Nori after getting nearly perfect game save for the Rift Herald.
Right.
And Meteos, you know, he's made a lot of mistakes this game. He messed up his barrel on Raptors at the start of it to start with, and then they've been winning the close fights. He has been on the forefront of their initiations, and they're controlling the objectives quite well. So props to P1 for bouncing back so far.
Good play after the hit. Ryu did have to flash. Oh, Sneaky a little too close. Throws down the ultimate, and that means that Smoothie goes in, but he's able to dash back himself. Double summoner for Ryu, double summoner for Sneaky. As the fight fizzles out, Shady also used his Ignite, but the minion wave coming in should mean the turret this time.
Yeah, they got everything out from Sneaky, and everyone on C9 trying to manage the other wave so this doesn't actually cascade into a multiple inhibitor push.
Fast play from Ray may give P1 a little more time than C9 wants. He's starting to now cut over through the jungle. He may be able to slice this off here. He has the back line of Ryu and Zig. And it looks like he is just waiting for the team call. They decide not to, and inhibitor turret is very low, but does not go down.
Yeah, Baron expiring for P1, mana low on Zig. It's actually the smart call to back away right there. You always want to be able to break the base right with that, but they have so much initiation potential outside of the base and don't really have a good way of diving turrets or fighting in those close corridors either, right? C9 with the Cassiopeia and Zac do want the more compact fight so they can get their AoE spells off. P1 doing a good job not letting C9 have what they want.
Yeah, staying spread, making sure, as we just saw, we were saying disengaging well earlier. They left that mid turret, their inhibitor. You have a Zac, you have a Rakan. It's not going to be the easiest to escape if you stay a few seconds too long. They will be on your heels. P1 has to play with that in mind. Not too many wards, or at least the wards were cleared by C9, so P1 has to be careful re-entering that side of the map. Things have been pushed all the way up to river, so C9 has some room to work with.
Yeah, gotta call out the 2 item purchases by C9 though. Double Warden's Mail one on Ray, one on Contracts. That'll really protect them from the Jace poke, as well as the fact that Arrow doesn't have a Last Whisper yet. So getting that extra armor in there to block the Jace poke is pretty critical for the siege situations that we're going to be seeing later on in this game. Can you get in?
They're ready to test the initiation too. Contracts knows he can survive a certain amount of time. Sneaky has a way to get in and out of a bad situation, and if there is a re-engage, Jensen is ready for it with the ultimate. Petrifying Gaze almost ready. Contracts in a bad spot, has the ulti, or rather passive, I should say, as they go in. That's going to be Shady going down. Flash was used by him to try to get in a good spot. The rest of the team pulls themselves into mid. Ray going forward with the flash, gets the initiation onto Ryu. That's the damage down, and now Zig can only fire from the backside. They don't even get the Fate's call in, really, for this fight to work in their favor.
Yeah, a couple of ugly initiations right there. Contracts jumps in, burns his flash for pretty much nothing, and then Shady ends up flying in, and Sneaky did have his ultimate back up again, so he can turn that around.
The power of Zach late game, a good or a bad initiation, still lets you see the fight for what it is. C9's able to take one and a little bit of the next with the second tier turret. And this initiation now is really the reason we see Zach being banned a lot. And those ganks from earlier, obviously.
Yeah, clearly C9 not out of this game yet.
True.
It's 3,000 gold. They just won that fight 2-0 on even ground. Trying to buddy up Recall. Meteos pops his ultimate just to prevent it. So give him some time for vision control, but beyond that, not really going to do much. Whee! The duo Recall. Let's watch this one more time.
It's like, who else can clear this distance? No one. So you know Contracts has to be able to live for X amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting, though, with the flash, while not just ulting right off the bat to try and knock them back. And then you can see the follow-up right here. They get Contracts so low, Shady thinks he can go in, but Smoothie doing a pretty good job to occupy the space where P1 would want to come through. And then Sneaky just popping his ultimate on Zaya to keep himself safe. Ray with a clean re-engage, getting the stun on the flashless Talia. Ends up just being better team fighting for C9 in the end.
Ooh. Little does he know what he just survived.
He knew they didn't have great vision in the area, so...
They make sure they get some over in that river. Now cleared out, seeing at least 4 members clear that. A lot of the focus for P1's on the top side, and this means now Cloud9 actually in the driver's seat after just being pushed back to their inhibitor turrets are making sure P1 is running ragged around the map. So if they can't find those grouped up fights they were looking for, they'll go for the turrets once again. Oh, quite a bit of damage from Zig.
He wants to fight this. Maybe ult up.
Got a good wave. Blade of the Rune King already.
Oh no, he shot off the minion! Ray with the 1v1 on Zig because Zig could not get his shock blast past the cannon minion, and Ray doesn't get it hit on him. Kites it out just right, and C9 get the Baron. Oh, what a disaster for Phoenix1.
A way to very quickly have a game turn on its head here. Again, the gold is even, the kills are even, but that does not tell the story of what just happened with Zig going down, Baron being hit, as well as P1 not being able to kind of coordinate on that bot turret yet. Not going to take too much damage, but overall map control is C9's, and we'll see this again.
Yeah, Ray's level 16, so he gets a lot of extra health from his ultimate right here.
Throws down the Dominant.
Big minion wave right there, but he can heal off that with his Q. Slices, kites it to get into his minion waves, dices back in, gets the stun, and watch this. Doesn't take damage from the shock blast. When that happens, that's the tide turner in the fight. Zig had the Duskblade, so he thought he would have the edge in that fight. But the Warden's Mail and the armor stacking kick in for Ray. What a clutch 1v1, and that is what emboldened C9 to just go for the Baron. P1 not in position to stop it, and suddenly, after it felt like Phoenix1 had the edge, now you have a crit scaling marksman with Zaya having the Infinity Edge completed. You have the Baron on C9 who has better team fighting, and P1 now losing the split push war as Renekton itemizes more armor. So they kind of have to fight them head on, and that's what C9 wants. So now C9 in the driver's seat.
I was going to say that's exactly what he bought us, a chainmail to get his gargoyle stone plate, so that shield. So it's going to be even harder for Zig to make that happen. These guys need to get a little bit more pen in their builds. Some of that is in Arrow's hands, just not finished yet. Ray taking quite a bit of damage. They've put a lot of resources on him so far and will continue to, knowing if he is out of the fight, he cannot be the tank on the front line. Whoa, Meteos gets abducted towards the back. He tries to buy back in, and they get a huge hit coming in from Sneaky onto the team of P1. Zig's now running for his life as the team gets locked up by Jensen and the rest of the team.
What a combo right there. Smoothie and Sneaky set it up. They get the quickness stun from Smoothie. Sneaky pops up there with the Feather Storm, and he hits everyone. That's probably game unless Zig can pull off a miracle.
What a turnaround to be neck and neck up to 30 minutes in the game. The last 5 minutes have been in the name of Cloud9, and now they're going to be looking for the Nexus turrets here, 11-7. There's 4 members down. Zig doing what he can is to peel them away from the Nexus turrets, but they have no care in the world for what he's doing as Jensen takes him down. And Cloud9 coming out with a dominating Game 1 and a dominating Game 2 ending. Take down P1 2-0.
For 33 minutes, I'd want to say, P1 was closer in control of that game. But just down the stretch, the 1v1 from Ray into the massive team fight by C9 at the end, and Phoenix1 is a little bit stunned because they were thinking, they were taking this to the side, or they thought it was going 3. C9 had other ideas.
Ray with the fist bump into the air as C9 rises from their chairs to shake hands with P1 as they were victorious. Meteos coming in for the sub. Looked a little more rounded for the team as they were to absorb a bit of the aggression here from C9, but Cloud9 finding an advantage, work on it immediately, and here was a snap advantage. 5 minutes later, they have the game.
Yeah, Sneaky getting his Infinity Edge was a huge power spike. We knew Jensen was going to be a monster the whole time because he was farming on Cassiopeia with that late game activation being very strong. And we know the Zach and the Rakan can have huge playmaking in team fights, but until 34.5 minutes, they were never able to find that fight. I mean, C9 even looked a little bit stunned getting up from their chairs, thinking, it's over? We were losing most of that game, guys. So they're not going to be super happy about this win, but being able to prevent the 0-3 start is extremely important as these guys go towards Worlds. And that's where Phoenix1 finds himself, C9, 2-0.
This becomes that build-on win, right? Usually you say you can only do that. We were saying earlier when you lose. This is one of those games where we said, wow, we crushed Game 1. And then Game 2, there's definitely things we can look at where we could have pushed the advantage more to make it more like Game 1. And Cloud9, once they get back to that form, you see them back up at that number 2 spot.
Exactly. And as you grow as a team, being able to win in both ways is pretty good. You want to be able to smash, but also you want to be able to win the games you don't win early. And the latter is actually what they were best at, I would say, in the spring split. They won most of their games after being even or behind in the early game. They were about the 6th or 7th ranked team as far as gold at 15 in the spring split, yet still the second best team record-wise in the regular season. Looked like they had another one of those types of games right here with Ray, which is something they weren't able to do.
Very true.
You and I were talking before this game. Ray's career on Cloud9 game score coming into this series was 9-10. So just now,
on a winning team.
Just now he's over the 500 mark on C9 because Impact had been the big carry for him, and Ray's getting a lot more time with Impact's late arrival from Korea and finally making it pay off a little bit with that clutch solo kill.
It's working as well. He's able to put the damage in the top lane. They switched it around last time to make sure that Jarvan would swap and look like it was going somewhere else, as well as seeing the contracts played well, but that Zach in the game. We see why he's been banned out so much and how formidable he was in this game for Cloud9. So for more on Cloud9's first win of the split, let's check in with Captain Flowers and Cloud9's Weaver of Feathers in the bot lane.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm here with Sneaky after that victorious 2-0 win that they just had over Phoenix1. And the first thing I want to do, I want to address the fans' concerns after Cloud9's Week 1 performance. It wasn't what a lot of people expected out of it, but now you've come into Week 2. The team's looking strong, especially game number 1. It was a landslide victory. Tell us about the preparation and just what you guys did to make sure that you came in and were able to get this win today.
Well, this week we had Impact practicing with us again, so we kind of have a lot more synergy with him, so we could kind of like see exactly what was going wrong. Like, he's a lot more communicative. So even when we were playing with Ray again, like just splitting scrims, Ray was more talkative as well. So like we kind of just built the synergy back that we've had for a while. But yeah, I don't know, that last week was pretty unfortunate. We just, like I said, we're off sync, didn't really play as a team as much, and just lost the games.
So bringing Impact back into things, sort of having that rock in the top lane to fall back on, that communication that you talked about really just made the difference for this team and allowed you guys to come back in and sort of have that synergy again that turned the losses from week number 1 into wins now here into week number 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, there weren't any glaring problems that popped up in scrims like before the split started. So when we lost the first week, we were like, huh, that was pretty weird because the scrims were going pretty well. It wasn't super obvious that we were going to like lose or anything. So coming back with Impact, I think, even though he didn't play today, it's just through the practice, we kind of recognized what was going wrong.
He's part of the heart of the team. You got to have him there just for nothing else but moral support, right? He's part of the team. You got to have him there with the rest of the guys. But one thing I want to ask you about now, you played against it in game number 1 today. You played as it in game number 2. What are your personal thoughts on Xayah as an AD carry and what she accomplishes in a team?
I've said this a few times. I think it's really hard to make plays as Xayah specifically. Like, Rakan kind of complements her really well. I mean, that's kind of why they're the lovers duo. But yeah, like he can engage super easily, like insane range. I think there was like the breakdown of Afremu engaging on us from like 3 screens away or something. So she's pretty hard to make plays on it by herself, but has a ton of damage to back up any of Rakan's plays, and just really safe. Like, you deny people's engages with her ulti, and that just completely turns fights. You can follow up on the big 4-man knockup from Rakan. So I think she's pretty good, but, not just super OP, not picking every team comp kind of character. I think she's pretty good, though.
All right. Sounds like a pretty solid assessment of the character. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just comes down to when and where, right? So one last question I want to ask you guys. Obviously, you play 2 matches every week. You've got one more coming up against Echo Fox on Sunday. How's the team feeling about that one?
Yeah, we're not sure if we'll play the cutie pie version or the the real Echo Fox roster. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know if they're actually just straight up scrimming them, like the Delta Fox and Echo Fox. I don't know if they're actually just scrimming those 2 versions of the teams all the time, but that's what they said initially. Like, they canceled scrims with all the other teams and like, yeah, we're going to scrim our sister team. And they're like, oh, here's our sister team. So I don't know. Maybe they're just insanely strong. Like, maybe Cutie Pie is giving them powers that are just unseen for a while.
We'll have to see if Cloud9, Sneaky, and those boys can take down the Cutie Pie enchanted Echo Fox on Sunday. But keep it right here. We're going to toss things to the analyst desk now. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers, and to Jat and Riv, great cast on the day. That was amazing from you two. Let's talk about this. Actually, first things first, Sneaky, I don't know if you weren't aware of this. Echo Fox has 5 subs that they scrim with.
Yeah, probably worth clarifying.
The Delta Fox thing's entirely different. They're not scrimming him in Cutie Pie. That's for someone else. So I just want to make sure that you are aware for that and for the audience as well. Let's talk about this game, though. Cloud9 2-0-ing, and this was not a perfect game. It was a very close one back and forth, and I think both teams had rights to it.
Yeah, I think this was a better look a little bit for P1. There were a lot of things that match better for a lot of their players' styles, and then C9 had a pretty hard-fought game where they had to come back from about 5,000 gold down and actually win a team fight against a team with a gold lead and an Infernal Dragon, so really good resiliency on their side.
Yeah, let's talk about Champ Select, though, because this was actually pretty interesting. Of course, Meteos comes in, which means that you can play the tanks, and we were a little quizzical on banning Elise giving away a Zac first pick to Cloud9, but it worked for him.
Right, so with the last ban being open, you're leaving Zac and Elise, and you think if they ban one, maybe we ban the other, but neither gets banned, so they ban the Elise, leave the Zac through, and then you get the Thresh, which is a bit of an out-of-lane counter pick with the ability to flay out his engages. So as long as you're positioned correctly, that's a huge power pick to deal with that Zac. And then you also are grabbing the Gragas, which they took early rotation last time, but because you now have Meteos in the game, he is someone who's happy to play Gragas. This allows you to flex it easier, and then we'll see later in the draft that's where that comes into play, because the rest of the team comp really does fall in around the fact that you will not be having a tank in the top side of the map. So a little bit of a risky trade with the junglers worked out fine for the most part in the early game, and it helped them secure a bot lane, because Shady actually played pretty well over the course of this game.
He did play pretty well overall. Bot lane for P1 still lost this time, though. Not 3 free deaths in the lane.
That helps a lot, too, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, the Gragas pick, as we finally see the lineup come together, they get to save it as a counter pick final to say, okay, we understand what you're playing over there with Renekton. Let's play Jace and move that Gragas down.
And the Talia pick makes a lot more sense with the fact that you now have 2 side lanes with playmaking. You can go up to that Jace, who's going to be trying to snowball his lane, or you can go down to the Kalista Thresh lane, who has a ton of ability to kind of start the fight off. So the Talia pick really does round out the rest of the comp. That is all based off the fact that you can actually flex that Gragas to a player who is not only good on the champion, which I'm sure Honori practices, but Meteos' like actual playstyle that he wants to be in.
And so, yeah, Phoenix1 had a pretty good first 20 minutes or so. They nearly talked down a mid lane inhibitor turret, and we could talk about what kind of set them up for that. Our first replay of this one is Phoenix1 getting a 3-for-0 team fight in the mid game to give themselves actually an advantage in this.
And it all starts with the fact that Zig, you see, this is what we're talking about with the Talia pick going to be able to help out. Zig wins a pretty good trade on his own, getting Ray down low, and then the Talia pick comes flying in over the top, starts helping to snowball this side of the map, and keep sure that, Zig has pressure. And he did up until they kind of lost control of the game a little bit. And off that play that's going down the bot lane, C9 says, okay, we got to make a counter play in the mid lane, but now you have this Thresh and Kalista with a lot of playmaking. It's not that safe to try and finish this turret off because they're going to have a lot of CC to stop you from backing away. And then even if you do get the turret, if you took too much damage, you can't fight. And you see this extended chase down sequence that comes in off the fact that there is this CC available. Kalista can keep hopping forward, keep providing CC, and then Jace rejoins with that teleport, able to help get these last couple cleanup kills, also with Meteos coming in.
Yeah, they barely get the explosive casket. Kind of misses, but it's enough to get onto the champion. And this turned into quite a lot for Phoenix1. They took a lot of the base. They eventually got a Baron a little bit later when that one spawned. And like you were saying, they got that middle inhibitor turret down to 200 health. And we were saying, like, ooh, wouldn't it be nice to knock that inhibitor down? It could be so hard to get back to the mid lane. You're against Cloud9 of all teams. They got a Cassiopeia. We know Jensen can go off. I don't know if 4,000 gold is enough.
Yeah, we were both like, oh, really want that inhibitor turret because C9, beast and late game team fighting. That's exactly what happened with a bit of a flubbed engage on the side of P1. Contract starts it out, of course, and he's going to get onto Arrow a little bit, but P1 survives through the early phase of this team fight. Contracts tries to go for a flash Q to pull 2 people together before taking his ult out, I believe is what he was trying to do, but kind of got CC'd up there. And from here, you're saying, okay, P1's in a good spot. Shady does not go flying back in. He lands a hook onto Xayah and gets totally baited by the ultimate. He goes up, tries to get the chain CC, and instead you see Sneaky jump up in the air, dodge out on that kind of combo, and then after that, that's where they overstep their bounds on the side of P1. They get chased down for the rest of this fight, and this is kind of when the game starts turning back.
Yeah, it is really hard to all in on Xayah. Again, as you mentioned, the ultimate's available. Also, Jensen the entire time untouched. He's sitting in the brush like, oh, I see a Thresh coming in. Poison, Fang. Okay, he's dead. Great. Who's next up in the chopping block? And kind of goes through everybody. And yeah, the backline threat for Cloud9 always there.
Yeah, and that's the case when we're talking about Jensen's Cassiopeia. If other people are always the focus of the fight, and he's able to, as long as he has a target in range to DPS down, that is Cassiopeia's ideal team fight. So you saw the Zac was the initial kind of focus, and then they think they have the Xayah, and this whole time Jensen unfocused throughout the fight.
So we have one final clip to show you guys. It's the game-winning team fight from Cloud9. The gold still very close at this point, but they just smash it.
And I love this with the return of the playmaking supports and the comps that come with it. You see a lot more of a wombo combo kind of focused team comp here. So Ray's getting chased down. They all get grouped up through this corridor, and then out of nowhere, he only grabs one in, but it gives Smoothie the space to get that massive knock up. And then you see the Xayah throwing in her ultimate over the top, the Cassiopeia ult as well. And these kind of team fights hadn't existed for a long time. When you see all the Lulus and the Karmas and the other
when you're playing Ashe, who stuns one person.
Ivern comes in as well. It was a lot less pick focus with C9's team comp and a lot more blow their whole team up. And I am ecstatic that this is back.
Yeah, and it's fun because it's the big team fight comps with fighting top laners, right? These are comps where they're trying to 5v5 and blow you up with a Renekton on one side and a Jace on the other, so it's dynamic everywhere. They're fun team comps to watch. I'm very excited for how this split's going to play out because a lot of really fun champions to watch with Kallistas and Threshes running around as well. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. It gives a lot more players the chance to shine there.
Yeah.
Even Shady, who was someone who we were criticizing a little bit in the previous game. He had a lot of really nice plays on the Zac engages, and seeing all this interaction between the champions is just fun to see.
Absolutely the case. So, speaking of players who are fun to see, Sneaky getting player of the game honors for this one here for Cloud9 on the bot lane. The Xayah, I thought, was played very well. A lot of damage, about a third for the team, which is pretty good. good when you've got a lot of damage dealers in your team already with a Renekton running around and a Cassiopeia as well. So props to him. Only one death, also pretty solid, and just starting to rack up the honors.
Yeah, there's a point in the game where he was the only one really doing well. We had seen some of the attention on the top side. Jensen had gotten roamed on a little bit in the mid lane, so both those guys were struggling. And Sneaky, kind of the story over the course of C9's whole history as the rock for the team.
Yeah, longest standing member, has been there since it was ever Cloud9 in the first place, and since they qualified, he's been there forever. So cool to see him doing well. Now, guys, we have more league action coming your way. Immortals will hit the Rift against Team Envy, so don't touch that browser. More LCS coming up soon.
All right, guys. I'm going to give you a pep talk. Last game was unlucky, but you guys have to carry me this game, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
G from Contracts as he goes.
He can pull him back.
Looks like he will yank him right back. That's going to be the Ruthless Predator. Abducts him towards the top side. Zig's going to go down.
Second flash.
I'm TPing.
Zaya, go to Zaya.
I'm coming. I'm ghosting. Let's get everyone. I'm going to blink.
Jensen in no man's land. Can he get the blast zone? The last arrow over the wall, zips down, takes him out, and that's going to be Jensen down. We'll see who else hits this one. Meteo's still very low.
We're doing it, boys. We're doing it. We're having fun.
Line. Whoa, Meteos gets abducted towards the back. He tries to body slam back in, and they get a huge hit coming in from Sneaky.